Alrighty, hello everybody. So just a reminder, if there is any kind of tech issues, if you are doing the live, remember just to press pause, grab yourself some water, wait a little bit, press play, and hopefully it should load so there's no glitching. I didn't really know where to start on this emotion, just because there's a lot. We've seen quite a lot of activity just internationally with the emotion of anger and how destructive it can be. So get your popcorn, get your pop, because this one's going to be a little bit longer. For those of you that want, you can close your eyes now, listen to some of the things that I speak of, and maybe try to link it to different parts of maybe your memory or people that you've encountered, just so you can process it a little bit more and it'll turn into that crystallized intelligence. So it's not in one ear and out the other. For the rest of you, you can stretch during this time before we come into meditation, okay? So anger is one of the most powerful and most dangerous emotions. It's the emotion that is the driving factor to motivate individuals' behavior to tackle obstacles. So it's strongly linked to the fight or flight system, with the other emotion being fear, of course, so it overcomes barriers. If toxic, it's the number one reason for something like domestic violence or any kind of acts of aggression. So it's really known as that act of passion, and literally can be fatal, of course. It's most located in the heart and in the liver, and because of the fight or flight, the adrenal glands get influenced as well. And there are many shades of anger, so it can be frustration, being annoyed, being aggressive, irritation, resentment to hostility, getting a little bit darker like vengefulness, being livid, rage to absolute fury. So, if not properly processed, this can lead to obviously a very negative outcome, especially to those that are in close relation. So although it arises from interference with a personal perceived goal, it can be presented by someone attempting, it can also be present by someone attempting to do harm physically or psychologically to you. So anger also arises from betrayal of trust and from a person trying to keep control of something that is again perceived as theirs, so that level of attachment or possession. Since anger makes people attuned to the injustices of others, it usually gets more respect and status. I could keep going about this, but I'm just going to start to conclude. So substance abuse can also result as a form of self-harm, where the user wants to either numb or numb their pain or feel that level of dominance. So whether it's alcohol or cocaine sometimes as well. The dissolving of interpersonal relations often takes place if anger isn't worked through, and usually needs the support of a professional if it gets pretty raw and dark. So it can also result sometimes in cases of insomnia, depending on the individual's temperament, personality, culture, conditioning, etc., etc. However, when pro-social, it can actually be a passionate, positive emotion to the self and the community, using that inner fire to right a wrong. So if you're not seated already, come into a comfortable seated. Move the flesh and the muscle out of the way so you find your sit bones. The way you've crossed your legs, switch the grip. You can sit on a block, you could take blocks underneath the knees or lean up against the wall. And then just start by closing the eyes if you are not already in that place of stillness. And just as we have done in the previous practices, just repeat the word anger or some of those shades of anger and how it makes you feel. A lot of the times it's more of an out-of-body experience. There's a lot of shaking, a lot of tightness in the gut. The breath becomes shortened. The heart rate increases along with perspiration. So at any point in time during the next 15 minutes of meditation, if you find that happening just naturally, or if your mind goes in and out of presence in something that has happened in the past, or something that you're creating of a fiction for yourself in the future that obviously has not happened, just acknowledge it and then bring yourself right back to what time it is, what the day is, where you are, right to the detail of the sit bones grounding down onto your mat, the length coming through the spinal cord, softness of your shoulders, an expansion of the front of the chest. Every inhale through the nose, expanding the lower belly, the side ribs, into the rib cage. Pausing for a brief moment before exhaling out of the nose. Doing your very best to extend your exhalation so it's not wasted energy. You don't just drop the breath. You stay present with both inhale and exhale. 5 more really good observable breaths here before we continue to scan through the body. Bringing your attention toward the lower body, sit bones, quads, hamstrings, calves to toes. Notice if there's any gripping, numbness, or engagement. Do your very best to just relax the lower body, remaining centered and grounded. Common reaction to the emotion of anger is gripping your teeth, so create a slight part to the teeth, even at the lips, allowing the tip of the tongue to rest at the palate of the mouth. And from time to time, checking point 1, which is the jaw, and then point 2, which is the area of the forehead, right between the brows. In biological psychology, there's something known as the facial feedback loop. So depending on the individual, if it feels too much to constantly scan your body, crown of the head to tips of the toes back to the crown of the head, then just focus on what's happening in the muscles of your face. Because each area has a corresponding emotional element and also changes the biological feedback of your body. So try to remain neutral in your face. And during your time of stillness, if today's the day where you're fine just maintaining center, you can just ignore me. and just continue to breathe. For those of you that have a tendency to shift out of alignment, and you start to overthink or overproduce things that have happened, people that have caused harm onto you, and try to remove yourself from that actor's role, that position in time and space, and be an observer in today's time, maintaining where you are and then looking back, helping you to process cognitively what happened, and also connect the dots of maybe why you reacted that way. Where did that conditioning come from? Was it how you were raised? What you saw? Was it because you didn't know any better at the time? For those especially that are out of alignment, start to balance that feeling within the body by using the word forgiveness. And allow it to fill the body. With something light, with kindness, and that unconditional self-love, to be able to truly channel that anger into something more pro-social in your life, positive for those that are around you. And that inner work isn't easy at all. A lot of people don't take this path because of how painful sometimes it can be to look back. But just remain present. Continue to breathe. When you feel and notice that emotion overstepping logic, pause. Take a mental step back before any damage is done or is further done. And just bring yourself right back to your body. Your body has amazing ability and resilience to overcome any kind of pain, suffering, obstacle. So instead of reacting to that personal story, remain objective. Give yourself time. Deepen your breath right now. Feel your toes, your belly soften. And the area in and around your heart to relieve any kind of pressure, constriction. Stay present, deepen the breath. For a few more minutes, connect to your ideal self, the attributes of empathy, compassion, and again, forgiveness. Give yourself permission to lengthen through your spine, to soften to what is. Maintain your focus and attention on the positive qualities that come from the emotion of anger. Soften your jaw and your forehead. And gently begin to draw the chin down toward the chest, letting your head hang forward, keeping the eyes closed. Try to keep the shoulders down and back, the collar smiling, the heart palate open. Soften your belly here and just take nice, slow, deep ujjayi breaths in and out of the nose. Wiggle your fingertips just take your left palm on your heart, the right palm in a cup position, resting just in the center of the lap, keeping the head hanging. Soften your shoulders and just notice the breath filling the space, especially through that left palm. If you feel any gradient of anger, 3 breaths here, shoulders shrug up to the earlobes, inhale. Out of the mouth. 2 more. When you're ready, taking your palms to prayer, pressing the thumbs against the heart. Maintain that place. Stand in the characteristic of compassion, forgiveness, and now letting go. Two more observable breaths. Namaste. Take your time if you need more time. The emotion of anger, if you really tap into it properly, is basically the fire and is pure energy. So try your very best as you continue with your practice of mindfulness throughout your day. In those moments where you feel yourself about to react, pause, pull back, think about it logically first. Give yourself sometimes even 24 to 48 hours before you then logically react in a way that's going to benefit your future self and maintain that core authenticity of presence. So have a good rest of the day, and maybe I will see you Thursday for yoga for the nervous system, or next week we'll be going through more and more deep emotions, disgust, and then fear.